Hi, this is Randy Wyckoff, the Dean of the College of Public Health at East Tennessee State University. And I want to discuss a question today that we get a lot, and that is, should I wear a mask when I go out? You know, in the media, this is being portrayed as a controversial and politically charged issue. But in fact, a recent Gallup poll shows that it's not really a political issue. The poll shows that the majority of Republicans, the majority of independents, and the majority of Democrats all report wearing a mask when they left home in the preceding week. It's not so much a political affiliation, according to this Gallup poll, but rather where you get your news. So what I'd like to do today is share with you what I consider 4 facts that can help you decide whether you want to wear a mask when you go outside. The first is that people who feel completely well can spread the disease. The Centers for Disease Control now says that perhaps 40%, almost half of infections, are spread from someone who doesn't have any symptoms. Some of these people may never have symptoms, and some may be in the period before the symptoms start. In one study on a cruise ship, 81% of the people who were infected had no symptoms, and other studies show between 25 and 80%. So this is an important fact to start with. You may feel perfectly well, or the person next to you may feel perfectly well and can still spread the disease. The second fact is that the disease spreads mainly from person to person through aerosols produced when someone coughs, sneezes, or talks to someone in close contact, a minimum of 6 feet. One person explained it best as the distance you could smell someone smoking a cigarette is possibly the distance in which an aerosol can spread. The CDC says the more closely a person interacts with others, and the longer the interaction, the higher risk of spread, and the probability of becoming infected will depend on the total amount inhaled. An airborne spread of undiagnosed infections will continually undermine all of our other efforts to control this pandemic. So the second fact to remember is that the disease spreads mainly from person to person. The third fact is that masks can reduce the spread. Masks have been shown to reduce respiratory virus shedding. Masks are most effective when the person who is infected is wearing one, and when everyone in society is wearing a mask. And while better masks, medical masks and so on, are better, it appears that most cloth masks are effective. So it's been said that the option of universal masking is no longer held back by shortages. So the third fact to remember is that masks can reduce spread. Remember, this is what happens. Somebody who is infected is going to spew out a lot of virus. It helps if the recipient is wearing a mask, but it's even better if the person who's infected wears a mask. And it's best of all if everyone wears a mask and practices social distancing. And the final and perhaps most important fact, a recent review of all sorts of information on how to protect yourself did conclude that wearing face masks protects people, both healthcare workers and the general public, against infection by these coronaviruses. And the fourth and probably the most important fact to keep in mind is that a lot of people have died from COVID-19, almost 500,000 people worldwide, and over 120,000 deaths in the United States. To give you a sense of how important that is, so far in the United States, these are the estimated number of deaths from the leading causes of death. And COVID-19 would be right there, third leading cause of death so far in the first 6 months in 2020. So the 4 facts are people who feel well can spread the disease. The disease spreads mainly from person to person. Masks can reduce the spread, and a lot of people have died. So what does this mean? It means you might feel perfectly well. You might feel that you don't need to wear a mask to protect yourself. You might decide that you are willing to take the risk of getting sick if you get infected. But you may already be infected. And if you are and you don't wear a mask, you could very likely spread the virus, resulting in someone else's death. And no one of any political party wants to be responsible for other people dying. Now, some have said, well, isn't this a violation of my individual rights? We certainly always want to protect individual rights, but we have a proud tradition in our country of taking actions that protect society. You know, many people have jobs where they're required to wear safety glasses and steel-toed shoes. We obviously have laws on drinking and driving. We have laws that require restaurant workers to wash their hands. We assure the safety of medications. We license pilots and so on and so on. We do all of these things because they are in the best interest of overall society. We give up some individual rights so that everyone can live a healthier life and have the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So for now, wear a mask when you go outside and you're around other people. Maintain social distancing, practice good hygiene, seek health care if you get sick. And most importantly, let's care for each other. That's an American tradition. Here are some references you might wish to check. We have other videos on the website if you go to this link. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to try to answer them. Thank you very much.